There is a question Warren Buffett has been asked thousands of times across decades of shareholder meetings, university lectures, and private conversations, and it always takes the same basic form regardless of who is asking. What is the secret? What is the one stock, the one decision, the one brilliant move that separates the wealthy from everyone else? And every single time, his answer disappoints them, because the truth is that there is no single move, no hidden trick, no lottery ticket moment that changes everything overnight. The real distance between ordinary financial outcomes and extraordinary ones is not measured in genius or luck, but in what a person chooses to do with the mundane hours of every ordinary day. It is the thousands of seemingly boring, unremarkable, and deeply disciplined decisions that, when stacked one on top of the other over years and decades, create a force so powerful that it begins to look like magic to anyone watching from the outside. What Buffett revealed in one of his most candid conversations were 3 specific daily rituals, 3 operating principles that have been the foundation of everything he has ever built. These are not theoretical ideas or motivational slogans, but rather the precise habits that have compounded across more than 60 years of his career. And today we are going to examine each one in detail. Before examining the first habit, there is one concept that connects all 3, and Buffett considers it the most powerful force in the universe. Einstein supposedly called it the 8th wonder of the world, and that concept is compounding. Most people understand compound interest in relation to money, but what they miss entirely is that knowledge, wisdom, and habits compound in exactly the same way. If you improve by just 1% each day, after 1 year you will not be 365% better but rather nearly 38 times better, because the mathematics of compounding are exponential, not linear. You become something entirely new. The first habit is the one Buffett considers the most important of all, and it is deceptively simple. He reads. But when Buffett says he reads, he does not mean skimming headlines or browsing bestsellers. For more than 50 years, he has spent approximately 80% of his working day doing nothing but reading, consuming 500 to 1,000 pages daily in his early career. The critical distinction is not the volume but what he reads. While the world reacts to cable news and scrolls through social media consuming opinions about opinions, Buffett sits with annual reports from companies most people have never heard of, trade journals from industries as mundane as carpet manufacturing and brickmaking, and the dense legal filings that publicly traded companies submit to the government. He reads like a geologist rather than a gold panner. Most people read searching for a single actionable fact, one piece of information they can immediately use. Buffett reads to understand the entire mountain, its structure, its composition, its fault lines, and its history, so that when a moment arrives, he does not need to search for opportunity because he already knows exactly where it lives. This kind of reading builds what he calls a circle of competence surrounded by a cognitive moat. Every annual report about a business he does not understand helps define the boundary of what he does not know, while every page about a business within his circle adds another brick to walls that grow higher and thicker with each passing year. When he and Charlie Munger purchased See's Candies, it was because they had spent years reading about branded consumer goods and understood the economics of pricing power, brand loyalty, and commodity costs better than the people selling the company to them. The practical application for anyone listening is what Buffett calls the 5-hour rule, which requires committing to just 1 hour of dedicated, purposeful reading every single day. That hour should follow a reading pyramid where 50% of the time goes to your own industry and profession, 30% to biographies and the stories of great thinkers, and 20% to broad subjects like history, psychology, and science that provide the mental models for understanding the larger world. The key is reading actively with a pen in hand, arguing with the author, questioning assumptions, and testing whether you can explain what you read to someone else in simple terms, because if you cannot, you did not truly understand it. The second habit creates the space for the first one to flourish, and it addresses what Buffett considers the second great enemy of success after ignorance, which is interruption. He aggressively and ruthlessly protects his time. When Bill Gates visited Omaha and asked to see Buffett's schedule, he was stunned to find that an entire week contained almost nothing, perhaps a haircut and a meeting or two, with the rest left as wide-open stretches of unstructured time. Gates, whose own calendar was packed minute by minute, later said that seeing that empty schedule was one of the most profound lessons he ever learned, because it revealed that he was not in control of his time, but rather his time was in control of him. Buffett understood something that most people never grasp, which is that every time you say yes to a small request, a 5-minute conversation, an unnecessary meeting, a quick email response, you are implicitly saying no to something far more valuable. You are saying no to reading that annual report. You are saying no to the deep thinking that produces genuine insight. You are saying no to the quiet, uninterrupted hours where real breakthroughs happen, because great ideas and great investment decisions do not emerge from noisy conference rooms or from multitasking between browser tabs. The system he recommends is called the 25-5 rule. You write down the 25 things you most want to accomplish, then circle only the 5 most important. The remaining 20 do not become second-tier priorities. They become your avoid-at-all-costs list, because those 20 goals are good enough to be tempting and interesting enough to seduce you into spending time on things that are not your absolute highest priority. Combined with the 2-day rule, which prohibits skipping your most important habits for 2 consecutive days, and a weekly calendar audit that ruthlessly eliminates any meeting that would leave you relieved rather than disappointed if it were canceled, this system builds a fortress around the hours that actually generate long-term value. The third and final habit is the one Buffett considers the most important compass of all, and it governs every decision he makes. He lives by what he calls an inner scorecard rather than an outer scorecard. The outer scorecard is the one the world constantly hands you: your job title, the size of your house, the number of followers you have, the applause of the crowd. Most people make every major decision in their lives based on how it will appear to others, choosing prestigious careers, buying cars to impress neighbors, and selling stocks because news anchors are panicking and they do not want to look foolish. The inner scorecard is entirely different. It is your own set of principles, your own definition of right and wrong, independent of what anyone else thinks. Buffett illustrates this with a question he asks students: would you rather be the world's greatest lover but have everyone think you are the worst? Or would you rather be the worst but have everyone think you are the greatest? The answer reveals whether you are more concerned with the reality of your actions or merely the perception of them. This inner scorecard is what makes it possible to be rational when everyone around you is consumed by emotion, when markets crash and the pressure to sell with the herd is immense. The person living by an outer scorecard feels the pain of declining net worth and the social pressure to conform. But the person living by an inner scorecard has done the reading, has done the thinking in protected time, and knows with conviction what a business is actually worth regardless of what the market says on any given day. The crowd's fear becomes an opportunity rather than a crisis. The practical tool Buffett uses is what he calls the newspaper test. Before any significant decision, he imagines that a reporter will write a detailed story about it that will appear on the front page of his local newspaper, to be read by his family, friends, and colleagues. The test is simple: would he be comfortable and proud to have them read the complete, unvarnished truth of his actions and motivations? This thought experiment cuts through every rationalization and forces alignment between actions and values. These 3 habits form a complete system. Reading provides the raw material of knowledge and builds the map of reality that eliminates risk. Protecting time creates the mental space where that knowledge can be processed, connected, and compounded. And the inner scorecard provides the courage to act on your own convictions, even when it is deeply unpopular to do so. The power is not on their complexity but in their consistency, doing them every single day, year after year, decade after decade, letting the slow and silent force of compounding transform not just your bank account but your mind, your relationships, and your character. The challenge is not to attempt all three simultaneously, but to choose the one that feels like the biggest gap in your own life and commit to it completely for the next 30 days. Perhaps it is the 5-hour reading rule. Perhaps it is the 25-5 exercise to finally gain clarity on your true priorities. Or perhaps it is simply beginning to ask yourself, before every decision, whether your future self would be proud of the choice you are about to make.